Hello, world. I'm back. This is Daniel Rucker on True Table, and I'm going to be talking to you about today something that I feel needs to be discussed. It's something that I know everybody's experienced in one way, shape, or form. This whole notion about always and forever, the fantasy, the happily ever after. I'm here to tell you that F happily ever after. Forget that. Throw that out. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. I'm just going to get right into it. A lot of times, what I've experienced is that we as people don't realize that we're programmed. Everyone to some level is a subject of what has been brought before us. History, your parents, culture, and just things that you were presented with at a young age. And this isn't to any one particular person. This isn't to any just the women of sorts or just the men. This is collectively, that we have been programmed, for lack of a better term, to believe in the narrative that was created for us. I don't know why this is something that people do, but it's something that needs to stop. It's something that needs to be challenged. It's something that needs to be questioned. You, as a person, as an individual, if you're going to start to entertain having a relationship, and a successful one at that, I believe that you need to start to own your own choices. Look at it and start to understand that it is your job as the person, involved in pursuing a relationship to create the type of relationship that you want. Not taking on someone else's ideas or idealistic view or structure or blueprint or any of those things to navigate what you want to work and what you want to be successful. So yeah, I would encourage everyone to, take a step back and start to understand that it's totally your job and your choice on how you choose to live this life, how you choose to create the type of dynamics that you want to exist in your relationship. We really do need to, steer away from, like I said, this narrative of happily ever after. Like, what is that? What does happily ever after truly look like? When we talk about movies, specifically animated movies of sorts, our Disney's, our love stories of the princess with the prince, or the king with the servant girl with the dwarves, and the Snow Whites, and who else? The damsels in distress. Those are nice to use as a reference point when you're of an adolescent state. They're nice to be entertained. They're nice to enjoy. But has anyone really sat back and ever thought, what happens when the story ends? We lock into the story. We lock into the build up. Guy meets girl. Usually powerful guy. In most cases, other than the story where I guess with Aladdin was the only, I believe, example that was different. Anyway, but guy meets girl, usually some guy who is of power and status, meets girl who is not of equal power or status. She catches his eye. He notices how important she is, or beautiful she is, or captivating she is. They click, they mesh, they fall in love, they get married, and then the movie ends. But what happens after that? There's never a backup. There's never a continuation of what it looks like afterwards, because I believe the directors are very smart in understanding that most people want to buy into the preliminaries of things. But let's be real. Relationships are not hard. I won't say they're hard, but relationships are work. They require people to grow. They require people to expand. They require people to put in effort on things that are sometimes not as easy. They come with requirements. They come with sacrifice. They come with work, communication and consideration being one of my favorite words, because you're dealing with an individual and many variables. You never know what's going on with that person. You never know what that person is necessarily having to deal with, and that is the point of, the communication. That is the point of getting to a place of removing the limitations. I personally, excuse me, I personally am not a fan of this fantasy and this notion that, I'm a man, you're a woman, and when we meet each other, there's going to be this automatic, intense, force of sorts that is going to create our connection, and it's going to be so powerful that everything's just going to work itself out. We're going to have great communication. We're going to have great sex. We're going to have quality time. My friends are going to like you. Your friends are going to like me. My family's going to like you. Your family's going to like me. And we're just going to bridge these two completely different worlds together and create this euphoric connection. It's nice to think about. And it's not even impossible, but it requires, work. Anything you're going to get out of a relationship is going to require you to become a builder, a contractor. You're going to have to be good at learning how to create, because that's really what we as human beings are. We're creators. We are people who, everything you see, everything we experience till this, now have been created by individuals. Relationships are no different. I often talk about with my friends, associates, and people who we discuss matters like this all the time, exhausted, these types of talks. And, I just find it interesting that when we talk about the realm of a love and relationships and partnerships and companionship, that people will spend an abundance amount of time putting so much effort into their education, or their bodies. People are more health conscious now. You have individuals who work out religiously, who are dieting, who are, putting in a lot of effort to develop, on the externals of sorts, like I said, education, physical things. And that's great. That's awesome. I applaud that. I really do. But I feel that in this realm of relationships and love, people want to microwave this thing. You spend 4 years on an average, if I'm not mistaken, trying to pursue higher education, bachelor's degree, and things of that sort. Some people are out here trying to get their master's or their PhD. And that's an extensive amount of time to put in effort to develop your educational prowess, your knowledge base. But with a person, you want everything to just click and just work. You want everything to just be, and that's asinine. It doesn't make logical sense. It has no hard data to back it up. We human beings are complicated people. We are unique in every way, and so I encourage people to take a different approach. One, not being a product of narratives that were given to you that you're supposed to follow. A stranger that you've never met, a director that had a pool of people who sat in a room and created this story, wrote it down, recorded it, and distributed it to the masses and said, this is how you're supposed to live your life. This is how it's supposed to look. This is how relationships are supposed to be viewed in the eyes of other people. F that. You sit back and you decide what kind of relationship you're going to have. You sit back and you decide, if I'm going to be with this person, this is how I want it to flow. If this person is going to be with me, this is how I want it to flow. This is how I want it to look. And you two decide to create the type of dynamics that work best for you. There is no such thing as happily ever after. There's no such thing. There is a reality. There is a relationship. There is a real connection, a real you know, entity of institution between you and that person that you decide to create. And that's totally up to you. I believe, women need to stop being directors, and I think men need to stop being cattle. I think that we have a society now with everything going on. So many, movements going on, and a lot of it is great. A lot of it is necessary. But I think that there still needs to be an understanding that, like I said, women need to stop being directors. What do I mean by that, ladies? I mean, there needs to stop being this point to where you are being so controlling and trying to navigate and dictate every aspect of what occurs, playing defense instead of existing in the moments of creating whatever relationship you're trying to have or trying to formulate. That's not to say that you don't take charge of your life. That's not to say that you don't, make decisions that are best within your best benefit for yourself, because I believe everyone is responsible for their own happiness. I believe everyone is responsible for their own, feelings, emotions, perspective. That's your job. But with the relationship, you really have to be someone who is in it to be present, someone who's in it to give. And when I stated that, stop being directors, stop being so concerned about the outcome per se of sorts, and try to be a part of it, try to contribute, whatever that's going to be, whatever that looks like. Men, stop allowing, yourselves to take a second seat, take a back seat to your position. It breaks my heart to see sometimes that what's going on in our current day society with, the elevation of women. And I say elevation not from a place that they were ever non-elevated or secondary, because I think women are awesome. I think women are great. I love to see us be more aware now of what their contribution has always really been. And men have been foolish to not allow, for lack of a better term, women to really exist in those spaces. So I'm glad to see where we're at. But it's now becoming such a shift of sorts to where you have men talking about they don't know who they are, how they can still be considered important and present in the dynamics of the relationship and exist in society. Well, we've never lost our position. I feel like there's a tremendous amount of value that comes from being a man. There's a tremendous amount of value getting tongue tied. Tremendous amount of value that comes from being a woman, and a realization of that. Once you know who you are as a whole individual and another whole individual can make a whole relationship. Two broken people can't make a whole relationship. And that just needs to be understood and accepted, that a lot of this is about continuing to work on yourself and being the absolute best person that you can be for yourself. And hopefully maybe one day for someone, if that's something that you're open to. So I just wanted to briefly talk about that today. Thank you guys for your time. Forget happily ever after. There's no such thing. Build and create the type of relationship that you want, and work hard at it. Put your best foot forward, and hopefully that outcome is something beautiful, something great. This is Daniel Rucker on True Table. I'll be coming to you guys every Wednesday, bringing this content, and let me know what you guys think. Leave comments at the bottom, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. Definitely appreciate it. And you guys have a good one. Thank you.